Okay, this is the debrief with my mentor,
Hi.
Yolanda, and for KRiley's teaching cert, module 7, activity 2, I believe.
Okay, so this is our baseline video that we were looking at.
Yes.
And so we're just focused on standard 1, the learner development.
Yes.
Okay, so I just like to have these notes next to me so I remember what I'm talking about. And so, okay, so what would you say on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think it went? Focused on learner development.
1 to 10. Well, 6. I think a 6. I think, as I said in my reflection, I talked for, I don't know, a good 10 minutes at the beginning, and they should have had one of their warm-up games to get their bodies moving. And then I shouldn't have talked for so long, but I did want to go over the learning objectives and then everything that I wanted them to do. And I had the guided practice, and so that took time, and then to explain how they were going to do the scenes. However, when I talk for that long, their minds wander. They can't focus that long. So if there's a better way for me to teach an objective, which is to have them up on their feet where I ask them to reach, and then I ask them to reach as though they just crossed a desert and they see an apple on a tree. And that's when they learn the difference between not having an objective and an objective, a clear one. And that's better than just talking it. So I should have done that exercise or something physical. Then let's see. And they did not get up on their feet to rehearse, which I find is a problem with these kids all the time. They don't understand rehearsal is physical and it's not intellectual. It's something you have to actually get up and rehearse in your bodies. And no matter, even if I explain it to them, they still refuse to do it, but I didn't explain it to them well enough this lesson to make it clear that that's part of the process, and possibly chunking that out so that that gets like a participation incentive. I don't know if that would be a formative grade or something. Some way to make sure that they are actually doing the blocking, which is the spacing where they're moving, and figuring out how they're going to move in the scenes. And you can see at the very end, none of them had any blocking. So, and they were very short scenes, 4 or 5 lines each, that they needed to analyze. So it was a lot of table work, probably not enough on your feet physical work as an overall criticism of the lesson. So then as I went around and tried to make sure everybody understood what was going on, they had a lot to write down, which also may have interfered with their ability to get up on their feet, but still I know that I didn't give it enough attention. And then when they got to their scenes, I wanted to cover, we were out of time, and I wanted they had peer feedback forms that I had created for them, but because we were out of time, we only had an 80-minute class, we didn't really have time for them to comment on each other's scenes. And since they didn't do any blocking, I felt like it wasn't totally necessary, but I do like having that element, and that element was not really used very well. And then Melissa, my instructor, made comments at the end that the exit ticket, which I did ask everybody if they felt like they understood now what the vocabulary was, with objective, obstacle, tactic, super objective, given circumstances, if they learned anything from the lesson. And I got some good feedback, especially from Shams, but Miss Collins said that I could have probably done something a little more in-depth, and I agree with what her feedback from watching the video. That's my
That was a lot. Okay,
yes, sorry.
Let me just okay, great. I want to circle back on some of this.
Okay.
But before we do, you went directly to what you would want to do differently, which is, I think, is human nature, right? But let's do some celebrating first. What are you proud of?
Okay. I think the idea was good to have them do very small scenes from the actual play to teach objective obstacle tactic. I don't think it was implemented as well as I would like it to. There are things I've done in the past that have done better, but I liked the taking the idea of scoring, and mixing it with different ways of teaching and getting them on their feet. Before in the past, I've done scoring as a whole lesson plan, and that's pretty much the whole thing where we're writing. This I thought was good to have it more integrated so that they're actually up on their feet applying it. And that's good. The more they can be up on their feet doing stuff, the better, always.
Okay, what else?
Well, I remembered my learning objectives. I did an exit ticket, I started it and ended it with kind of 2 buttons to make sure that they understood what we were doing and accomplished, and then asked if they felt like they accomplished it. And I went from group to group to make sure that, answer their questions if they have questions about what the vocabulary meant and how it applied to their scenes. So I got that cleared up for them as I walked around the room. Yeah.
Okay. You want me to point out a couple of things?
Yeah, go for it.
You talked for a long time about things you would want to do better.
Yeah. Of course.
Let's celebrate a little longer, yeah? So you tied in the Stuco norms at the beginning. So you have some evidence of routines that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's obvious that you go over the learning objectives, so you have some obviously established routines. The students couldn't necessarily hear what they were saying, but they were raising their hands, and so you have some good safe, in the video that's what I saw, right? I saw raising hands. So it's like a nice atmosphere in the classroom, which is one of the things for this this domain or this standard.
Yes.
They were respectful to one another. You reviewed the learning objectives, as you said. You supported your students with what they were going to do in terms of EAL and learning support with pre-teaching that vocabulary. I know you said you would do it differently, but you did it, right? Okay, I couldn't really tell what was going on in some of this, but there's a part where Ren and Tokai read and you guide them.
Yes.
Okay, that's an example of your guided practice, and it's an example of what they're going to do on their own.
Yes.
So that makes it really clear for them, so they knew what they were going to do when they went on their own, so that's a good celebration. It was developmentally appropriate. And your learning objectives are clearly seen in the video. Yes. And the third activity from the lesson, your lesson plan is also clearly seen in so your learning objectives that you wrote, when I say clearly seen, you could see them happening in the video. Right? And also the third activity from the lesson plan was clearly seen. You could see that happening.
I had them on a slide, but there was no good place for me to put the video.
It's okay.
So you couldn't really see this.
I could see it happening in the classroom with the kids.
Yeah.
No, not when you were talking.
Oh.
I could visibly see that it was happening.
Oh.
Oh,
good.
I'm like, that's where she said she was going to do this, and they're doing it.
Great.
Yeah. And then you used all your available technology, computers, projector, Toddle, things like that. So those are all really good celebrations.
Cool.
Yes.
Good.
Nice. Okay. Now I know what everybody always wants.
Okay, yeah.
So you said you would want to chunk it out.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Well, to put a rehearsal chunk in there so that they understand. So first of all, it just depends on what content I'm teaching when it just depends on what I'm trying to get across. But it always helps to have the first bit working on their coordination and their focus with their mind body. So the psychophysical union, which is a good 10 minutes of energy games.
So about
which
10
I
minutes.
didn't do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that should cover, maybe what I should do is chunk that into covering also the learning objectives, find a way to get them to do the learning objectives through physical.
Yeah, I wrote that down. You said total physical response for the objective. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So just getting more creative about how I can do that instead of talking at them.
I guess what I was wondering about when you say chunking, are you talking about the content or the timing or both?
I think the timing and how it's delivered. So if I'm going to do a block on learning objective, whenever I can figure out how to do it physically, get them up and do it physically. Like the rehearsal, I need to have chunked out a time to make sure they understand rehearsal is not talking about it or writing. Rehearsal is on your feet, working those 4 lines and deciding where you're going.
Do you use timers?
No, I never use timers, but that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I could put timers in there. And randomizers too, which I'm learning about because the kids, know how to do that. When you're pairing up students, because I pair them up all the time with different people. And the randomizer is good. But yeah, timer, randomizer, those are good things to add. Yeah. Okay, so I can build those into the next lesson plans.
You also mentioned the peer feedback form. So what was that? You didn't have time for it, but I'm just curious. What was it?
It was too complicated, but it was to see if the people had everybody. Part of the problem was they just had one peer feedback form and they had 6 scenes. So they got confused, like, are we supposed to write for each one on one page of paper, or do you want us to make a copy 6 times? So that always ends up as a problem with peer feedback. Sometimes I just print them out and they each have like 6 to 10 and then they change. Anyway, that's a technical problem and I haven't figured that one out yet. They needed to answer, did the people reach their objectives? Could you see that they had an objective obstacle tactic in the 4 or 5 lines that they practiced, and given circumstances, and did they reach the vocabulary? And most of them didn't, because they didn't get up and rehearse it that way. They were more in their heads, and so they didn't actually
Demonstrate it.
Objective obstacle tactics.
I'm curious though, when they were doing their analysis, when they were typing it up, did they get it there?
Yeah, they got it on the first analysis, yeah.
But they didn't demonstrate with their actions that they understood it. And what, in your experience, how does that relationship work?
One of the problems with that is I have to get in there and teach them. I can't really send them off to do it unless I am there expressing right there with them and teaching them how to achieve an objective acting wise. They almost never get it. They're going to stay static.
So I want to go back
They need immediate feedback from me.
I want to go back to the chunking, because what I think I'm hearing you say, I'm paraphrasing, so help me if I'm wrong about this, but what I think I'm hearing you say is going back to that chunking where you could have given them, okay, you have X number of time to, first we're going to spend this much time understanding the vocabulary. Now you're going to spend this much time with your partner analyzing the scene based on the vocabulary. When the timer goes off, we're all going to come back together and we're going to have a demo of what it looks like to take that analysis and put it into
rehearsal.
Actions. To rehearsal. Now you have rehearsal time where you're going to make it happen. Then when the timer goes off, we're going to have presentation time or whatever. And here's your feedback that you're going to give to the kids, and you can, figuring out the technical part. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. No, I think that would work. Have a demo. I mean, what I could do is take my natural actors and have them demonstrate so that they can see, one of the issues is a lot of these kids are not interested in acting.
Right.
They're going to read it and be as static as possible, no matter what. And that can be about 90% of the class. But then there are always some that are really interested and really talented and love to do it. So, squeezing performances out of them, I'm not necessarily going to do, but making sure that I'm blossoming the talent from those people that don't know that they have an ace in.
So that's a whole nother thing of like, that maybe not focused on the learner development, like this goal, but just a seed to plant in your head. Like if you're going to do a demo and some of your kids are just not interested in acting, in that, what can you do in advance to pre-plan and pre-prepare for that demo, right? Like maybe it's going to have to be you demoing it, so that this is what I'm looking for. Like, remember, you want to show an exemplar. An exemplar is like the best option, so, or maybe it's a scene that you have already clipped from somewhere where you're like, and you're pausing and watching this, and where do we, debriefing it, and you're saying, now you're going to do the same thing, so that they're really understanding what the task is.
I'll tell you what, so actually I thought about that. I thought about taking a scene from A Doll's House, because we're watching Juliet Stevenson's version, and one of the problems is I have to have, it's a technical problem, I have to have that dingle thing.
Dongle.
Got it. So the dongle has to go from the computer into the projector, or it won't play because of the digital.
Yes.
So if I were to do that, it would have taken another 10-15 minutes to just get through the instructions or whatever, or to put the example that I would prefer up there. To put the professional example, then I will have an interruption because of the technology. I'm just putting that as a hurdle. It's an obstacle.
Let's not use our time right now, but it's not that big of a hurdle, and I can help you with that.
Okay.
But that's also something that's like modifying instruction based on students' needs, right? Their needs are, if they're not really natural actors and they're not that interested in it, their needs for this are, we need to show them more examples of what we're looking for, right? Okay. And tell me, you said, so I'm shifting here to the exit ticket. You said that you got something good from at least one student, Shams, you mentioned. And you said that you got the feedback that you could do something more in depth. What are your ideas about that? What might you do that might be more in depth with the exit ticket vocabulary?
Well, I think that throughout this unit of Stanislavski, they should be able to analyze and tear apart any script now from, once we get through the scoring and how you score a script and a scene, then they also should be able to analyze it as an audience member. So they'll be able to say, Juliet Stevenson is playing this tactic in this beat right now. So they'll be able to objectively look at other performers and understand why it works or why it doesn't.
So for an exit ticket, I think the question that I would pose to you is, what is your purpose for your exit ticket? And
okay.
Right? So think about your purpose for the exit ticket and then design your exit ticket to meet that purpose.
Okay.
And the exit ticket purpose, that can be anything from just a quick wrap up, or it could be, I really want to deeply understand what they understand, or it could just be a self-reflection. It can be, but it's like, for me, it's like, it's the end of the parentheses, right? Like when you do your warm up or whatever, it's like the opening of the parentheses, and this is the end of the parentheses, right? So like, what are you going to do to sort of put an ending on that, so their brains are like, okay, and maybe they're ready for math or PE or whatever they're doing next, right?
Got it.
So I just remember what you want for your exit ticket. Just make a purpose for your exit ticket, and they can be varied. Each day can be a different purpose, right? So it doesn't have to be something super hefty, right? And it shouldn't take very long. Right. Okay. So it has to be really quick, because it's like, and sometimes I've seen exit tickets where they line up at the door and it's like an oral thing, as they're leaving, like, I don't know, in what scene did you see, you know,
right,
whatever, objective, you know, whatever, or it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, what is the definition of objective again, you know, just because you're refreshing, you're reviewing. So it's, what is your purpose for this days?
Okay.
It can be something like create a metaphor. What was one of the words that started with a T? Was it tactic?
Yeah, tactic.
What a tactic is like blank because blank.
Right. Okay.
Okay. You have to write it on a sticky, hand it to me as you leave. Thank you, goodbye, have a great day. Thank you, goodbye, have a great day.
Cool.
And then when you look at it, you're like, ooh.
Right, they didn't get it at all,
right.
or they
like,
got it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like that's one of my favorite exit tickets is
cool.
The
sticky note
metaphor. But
or
yeah,
metaphor.
I always use the sticky note for mine because I collect them.
You can hold them.
I'm a collector of things.
Do I dare go into your closet at home? Sticky note.
I throw them all away at the end of the year.
At the end of the year.
Okay, I want you to just glance at these things here, and just, is there anything further that you want to? You need my glasses?
Yeah, please. I didn't bring my glasses.
They might be dirty.
Here we go. Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you where I do get a little confused on this are the use of assessments, it says here, to identify areas of need. Just because the assessments, so like for English, you know, class, it would be their writing, their ability to analyze a piece of literature. Obviously, it's not being on stage. Usually the summatives are their performance, and then the rehearsals are the formatives. When they're up rehearsing or practicing, that's a formative, which is just a natural sort of thing. You don't get a grade, it's just you're doing it and this is how we're gonna fix it. You get the oral feedback, and then they get all that feedback, and then they have their summative, and that's when they get their grade. Of course, we're gonna have an actual summative test on the plot of A Doll's House. And one of the reasons for that is because when they were watching it, they were not a very attentive audience. And so I said, look, you know, if you guys can't be attentive, that's why I have to test you, because you're not absorbing it. And so now I've already created the test, like a 25 question test. And we're gonna finish it today, and then we're gonna take that on Friday.
So it's like a criteria A knowledge type thing.
Yes, because they need to understand the play.
In order to move forward.
Yeah, because we're gonna be doing scenes from the play, and if they don't understand it, then I'm gonna be explaining it to them the whole time.
Right.
So I want them to understand this play. It's also an amazing play that they should have in their heads for the rest of their lives. It's a good play.
So an idea that comes to mind is you gave them a note taker, a graphic organizer for the class that I watched.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a great tier 1 strategy.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
So, graphic organizer, helping people organize their students organize their thoughts.
Okay.
And filling in for each section.
So they could be doing that while they're watching?
They could, but what I was going to say is when they complete it, you can give them some formative feedback, and that's assessment.
Okay.
So assessment doesn't have to be summative. Anything that you do in class, that exit ticket that you get that says tactic is like blank because blank, that's a form of
So then you go in and put that in the
You could put that in total. if you're like, yeah, I'm going to put this in total, and it's just giving the kids feedback and their parents, like, Timmy's not really understanding this unit so far. We need to work to make sure that he is grasping the concepts and, of the unit. Or, like Timmy's doing great, he's really getting it, he's moving along. If he moves forward on this trajectory, he should do quite well in the unit. It's just
right.
Communication of how they're doing, right? So you can put anything in for an assessment, and you can mark it formative, and it's 0%.
Right, exactly. Okay.
So does that help you a little bit?
And you grade, but no, formatives aren't graded.
Yeah, they're graded.
Oh, so they do get a grade, it's just they don't
get
count.
A grade. It doesn't count, but it gives you really good information, right? Like the point of the formative is, like if I were to take a test right now, I would be getting a 6, like, yeah, great, I'm on the right path. If I were to take a test right now, I'd be getting a 3. Or if I were to be performing right now, or if I were to be doing fill in the blank for performance task, whatever that task is, this is what I would be earning. So it's important to give a grade. It doesn't have to be on the whole piece. It could just be on this section. Like on the analysis right now, you're nailing it. We haven't done the performance piece yet, but analysis, you got it.
Yeah.
Are you processing?
No, I am. It's just when you do grading on performance, it's such a killer.
Yes.
And I don't like grading performances. But grading analysis is fine.
Yeah.
Grading performances, I think, kills their soul because it's not a good thing.
Is that one of your criteria?
No, I don't.
Then don't grade it.
Yeah.
Don't grade it. You have to stick to your criteria, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, you mean in the MYP?
Yeah.
I mean, it's criteria, performance.
It is.
It's
and you grade a 1 to 7, 1 to 8 on that?
Yeah. I mean, it's not good, but like we have to.
So you have to. Yeah. All right. One thing that I wanted to know about was your ELA and
English
EAL.
Yeah. Yeah.
The non-native English speakers and your learning support students. In your lesson plan, I didn't see exactly what you had done for them.
For them.
Yeah.
I think I had an appendix for.
I didn't look at it. Okay.
No, but that's okay. I put it. I may not have sent it to you. That may be the problem. And to be honest, I have to do it better. I don't know. I didn't consciously adjust too many things in the rehearsal schedule, with the exception of Shams, who I made sure Daniel is moving to her. She's not moving to him. But she is able, like, there are things she can do. She went and sat in the chair and did her scene from there, but so did everybody else. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there wasn't too much adjustment that was happening. It just sort of, like, depends on how much physical activity is going on. There wasn't that much physical activity. The students that have learning support and English language issues, I went and talked with them and met with them in their corners when they went off with their teams, their partners, and I made sure that they understood exactly what was being asked. There were some people that had questions and didn't understand the words that were used, so I explained them. Then there were some of the ones that were not focused, the ones that were having a hard time sitting and writing. I'll let them kind of wander around sometimes, and just to get that energy out. And then they were fine. There were some times I paused the video between that exercise and the performance and let people be a little crazy, so that they didn't feel like, because they all knew that they were being watched, and they all,
Of course, yeah.
So I let them be a little nuts in between, and then I said, all right, calm it down. Now we're going to perform. So I mean, I guess that's what I did, but I don't think I probably did enough and had it clearly marked out.
Okay, so
better
just something
next
that you
time.
could do. And also you've got, you know, your people next door to me that you can go and chat with and get feedback on.
Yeah, for sure.
So, great.
Okay.
Anything else?
Hmm?
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you for all your work. She
Yes.
made this huge list of everything. I've got the best mentor ever.